Welcome in to Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan Lugo. Thank you so much for being here on a New Year's Eve edition of the show. Got some keys to victory for the Jaguars as they head to Houston to take on their division rival, the Texans, a team they have not beaten since 2017. We've got keys to victory. We've got a few bold predictions, a score prediction as well for y'all here on Duval Daily. Thank y'all so much for being here. Again, New Year's Eve edition. 1 day left in 2022. 1 day left until the Jags take on the Texans in Houston. I'd like to remind you to follow me on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo, Generation Jaguar, at Generation Jag. Hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube, of course. If you don't want to miss a show on here, which of course you don't, you can also hit the notification bell. Y'all's support means the world. It's been an awesome year starting this channel, bringing content to y'all in a different way, switching from written content to more audio and video stuff here. Y'all's support means the world to me. Could not be doing this without you. So seriously, from the bottom of my heart, thank you, Duval. Getting into these keys to victory. When you talk about these two teams, Jags and Texans, really from a talent standpoint, the Jaguars are the better team. It's clear, right? You have a better coach, better coaching staff, in my opinion, better offense, and a much better quarterback and better pieces around him than what you have in Houston right now. That's just the way it is. And I know the Houston Texans beat the Jaguars earlier this year 13-6. That was more the Jaguars doing than anything else, in my opinion. And I know the Jags haven't beaten them, again, since 2017, since the last time the Jags made the playoffs. So when you talk about keys to victory, though, for a team, the Jaguars are much more talented than the Houston Texans, much more further along than the Houston Texans. They're more confident in playing at a higher level than the Texans right now. So, in my opinion, when you're talking about a team that's significantly better and more talented than their opponent, you have to get through this week with a certain level of focus. A level of focus that will allow you to perform at your best on game day. You win throughout the week, and Sunday is just the reward for the preparation you put in throughout the week, more often than not. So this Jaguars team, they need to have a level of focus throughout, or they needed to have a level of focus throughout this week to allow them to go out there on Sunday and perform at a high level. That focus has been there for most of the last 2 months. I think you missed it 1 week when the Jaguars went up to Detroit to take on the Lions. They came out flat. They did not have energy, but every game they've played, even their loss to the Chiefs, they came out with energy over the last 2 months, and they've come out believing in themselves. They've got a lot of confidence. Talked about Trevor Lawrence's confidence. I think early in the season, he had the confidence to believe that he could do anything on the field for the Jaguars and that he could execute at a high level. There's a point in the season in which I think he started believing that he will get the job done, that he will execute at a high level. A lot of that has to do with preparation, but confidence is key as well. I think that this team has the confidence now that Trevor Lawrence has, that they will get the job done. Not that they can get the job done on a given day, but when they go out and step on that field, that they will get the job done. So you got to bring focus. When you're the better team, you just can't come out flat. Bottom line, you can't come out and let the Texans be the aggressor in this football game. The Jaguars have to come out, play their game, be aggressive, be a Doug Peterson coached team, right? A team that likes to get after it, be aggressive, take advantage of little weak points in the enemy's armor. So that's a big key for me, really, just being locked in all week. And then another key here, Trevor does have to do something that he's never done before, and that's take care of the Houston Texans, right? He's 0-3 against the Texans, 0-3 against Lovie Smith defenses, and they run a lot of cover 2. Last time these two teams played, they ran a lot of Tampa 2, and Trevor had a decent game for the most part, but it was these critical mistakes that you were seeing earlier in the year from Trevor Lawrence in the red zone that you're not seeing anymore. He is taking control of this offense. He has a full command of what's going on that side of the ball for the Jaguars. And I think that he will be able to take that next step. This is kind of like that last monkey off of his back is taking care of the Texans and Lovie Smith's defense. You don't have to do anything special here if you're Trevor Lawrence. You just got to avoid the big mistakes. And he's been able to do that for the last 2 months. He hasn't been perfect. There have been some fumbles. There have been an interception here and there. But the key here is you cannot throw interceptions in the red zone. You can't throw interceptions when you're about to get 7 or 3 at the very least. And Trevor hasn't been doing that. He's been playing some of the best football in the league. He's been playing at close to an MVP level over the last 2 months. Probably been the best quarterback in the NFL over the last 2 months. You could debate Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, whatever. Trevor Lawrence is right up there with the best of them, right? So he just has to play his game. Understand what the offense is trying to accomplish here this week against the Texans defense that is probably going to run a lot of cover 2, some Tampa 2. That's what they've done really well against the Jaguars since Trevor Lawrence has gotten to Jacksonville. So just know what to expect here, and he'll be ready for it. And he has done better since playing the Texans last against more cover 2 defenses. So I think he's on track to be able to go out there and perform. But again, this is something he hasn't done before. He has not performed well against the Texans in the past, not for a full game, not to the point where the Jaguars could beat them. So he's going to have to do that this week, and I think he can. I think the Jags, do they have to win the turnover battle in order to win this game? I don't think so. You've seen the Chiefs, you've seen the Cowboys. Both of those teams lost the turnover battle, but were still able to beat the Houston Texans because they're more talented, because they're better football teams. They're able to overcome that. I think the Jaguars fall into that category where they could lose the turnover battle to the Texans, not by an insane margin, but they could lose the turnover battle and still beat the Texans. However, if you win the turnover battle against the Houston Texans and you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, I don't think this will be a particularly close game. If the Jaguars take care of the football and they play aggressive on the defensive side of the ball like they have been over the last month, I don't think there's any reason this should be a close game if the Jaguars are able to win the turnover battle. The reason this could be close is if the Jaguars don't win the turnover battle, if the Jaguars don't come out playing aggressive football, playing confident football, playing football with energy. That's how this becomes a game, right? So if you do come out and win the turnover battle, I don't think this is much of a contest at all. And so those are my keys to victory. Again, schematically, there's nothing crazy that the Texans are doing on either side of the ball. Obviously, defensively, you have to be able to be ready for the dual quarterback situation. Multiple quarterbacks going to be out there. Jeff Driscoll is their running quarterback. Of course, you've got Davis Mills as their pocket quarterback, and they'll switch those guys in and out. Sometimes they'll be on the field at the same time. So you obviously have to be ready for that. I think the Jaguars have been prepared for that by the season they've gone through. Going against some teams that have athletic quarterbacks, they've gotten better at defending that throughout the year. And I think last week against New York when they got Streveler in, that probably helped the Jaguars even more to be ready for the Houston Texans attack here with multiple quarterbacks. But that's it for the keys to victory. Again, you're a more talented team. You have a better coach, better offense, better quarterback. You've just got to go out there and have the focus and energy that you need to get the job done at this level. Because in the NFL, if you don't come out prepared and mentally ready, any team can give you a hard day, no doubt about it. And the Texans, they are smart, they're physical. They've got some young, talented players. They've got some veterans. Overall talent level is not very impressive, but again, this is an NFL team that plays hard, plays kind of to their coach's personality with that tough, physical nature on the defensive side of the ball, flying around. So you just have to come out prepared and focused. You have to have Trevor playing a Trevor Lawrence type of game, not a Trevor Lawrence against the Texans in the past type of game, but Trevor Lawrence over the last 2 months type of game. You need him to come out and just execute. Don't do anything special. Don't make the big mistakes, and you'll be just fine. And again, if you win the turnover battle, the Texans will have no chance of making this a contest. Now, getting into a couple bold predictions. I don't think Trevor Lawrence has a turnover in this contest. He has been fumble prone throughout his young career so far. A lot of that has to do with the offensive line's issues at times. A lot of it also just has to do with Trevor needing to secure the ball a little bit better when he's on the move. I don't think he has a turnover in this game. I think that this team, this Jaguars team, they've talked about it in the locker room this week. There's a vibe here. They're not overlooking this contest, in my opinion. They want to beat the Houston Texans. This is a franchise that has not beaten the Texans since 2017. Now, most of these players in the locker room and coaches haven't been in Jacksonville all that time, but most of these guys have at least been in Jacksonville the last year or two, and they've gotten their asses kicked by the Texans a handful of times here. So they want this game. They're not overlooking the Texans, and they shouldn't, because if they do, that's how you have a close, sketchy game like the Cowboys did, like the Chiefs did. So yeah, I think that Trevor, even more than a lot of the rest of the players, sees this as a game where, again, it's the get the monkey off your back type of game for Trevor. Has not played well against Lovie Smith's defenses. I think he has a good game. Not saying he has to throw the ball all over the yard and have a huge 400-yard, 3-touchdown performance, but I think that Trevor Lawrence will have an efficient day and help the Jaguars offense and the Jaguars as a whole kind of keep the Texans at bay. And so I think a big part of that is him not having a turnover. I don't think he'll turn the ball over in this one. I think he will be very, very conscious of what he's doing with the football against these Texans. Next prediction. I think the defense plays like it should against lesser competition, right? You did it against New York last week in not the best weather conditions, but the defense still came out and did the job for the most part. They weren't perfect by any stretch, and had they been playing a more talented, more effective quarterback, more effective offense, they might have given up some more points. But I think they've been playing better. They've been playing more confident. They've been able to get some pressure on the quarterback. They've been able to slow down opposing rushing attacks for the most part, and they've been able to turn the football over and give it back to Trevor Lawrence in the offense. I think the Jags defense continues to play with confidence this week and plays pretty well overall. Looks like you're probably on track to get Trayvon Walker and Foley Fatukasi back. Obviously, you're out without DeJuan Smoot, but overall, I think losing Smoot hurts, but getting Walker and Fatukasi kind of negates the issues with losing Smoot there, in my opinion. Obviously, you'd like to have all of them, but that's not the case this late in the season. So I think the Jags defense comes out and plays the way it should against lesser competition, and I think that the Jaguars are able to win this football game fairly comfortably. Final score 27-13. I don't think the Jaguars offense really goes off, but I think that's partially because they don't need to really go off in this game. I don't think the Texans pose a huge threat as a scoring offense as long as you do not give them advantageous situations where they get the ball, in enemy territory really close to the end zone. I think you'll be just fine. And obviously you can't have them scoring on defense or scoring on special teams. Otherwise, this thing can get tricky as well. But I think the Jaguars are going to come out focused. They're going to take care of business against a team that they should beat. They're going to break the streak against the Texans. They've lost 9 straight. They're going to snap that. It's not going to get to 10 here. This is a new Jaguars football team led by Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence, and the rest of this squad has a ton of confidence in themselves and in their head coach and quarterback, and I think they'll get the job done 27-13. That'll do it here, though, for Keys to Victory and Bold Predictions. Really appreciate y'all for tuning in. Again, this has been such a great year for the channel, for Generation Jaguar, for myself personally, and so much of it has to do with y'all's support, y'all tuning in, y'all going to genjag.com and picking up Duval gear and just supporting what we're doing here. It means the world to me. Could not be doing this without y'all. So sincerely, thank you for such a great year, and I'm looking forward to another great year in 2023. Thank you so much for tuning in, Duval. Again, reminder, you can hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo. Let me know what you think. Follow Generation Jaguar at Generation Jag, and hit that like and subscribe button here on YouTube if you enjoy the content. Thanks so much, Duval. Happy New Year.